cute like that, like a librarian.
That's my go-to.
I like it.
Library.
Um, we're going to review spoiler-free Book of Night by Holly Black, who also wrote Cruel Prince. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've read it, and then Liz has read this one.
And Andrea's going to read it, right?
I mean, it depends on how this review goes, but most likely it sounds like.
Okay.
Liz,
So
you need to do a synopsis because I read it like a couple months ago.
Okay, so the caveat, this is obviously going to be a series and only one book is out. I did not understand that when I bought it for Madeline for Christmas and then for myself. So everyone should know that. The story's not done.
I would also like to point out the fact that you asked me multiple times, did you start Book of Night yet? Did you read it yet? And then I read it and I was like, this is obviously just the first in the series.
So I didn't, you read it before me. I didn't know.
I know.
I like read something online and it said book 1 of 1. And I was like, oh, it's safe. Not book 1 of 1, book 1 of N. No idea when it's going to end or even when the next one's out. So have fun.
Yeah.
But so this one is a fantasy series. It's interesting though. It's kind of like Harry Potter where it's set in our world, but there's magic. It's kind of cool because it's like 10-ish years ago, they figured out that like some magic is real. And the magic really that's real really centers around shadows, like your shadow. So essentially what can happen is some people can manipulate, change, and control their shadows, and other people can't. And if you have a shadow that becomes like magical, it's called like quickening. And nobody knows why. Some people have like magic and magical shadows, and some people don't. But you can also steal shadows. So some people don't have any shadows at all, which is weird. And so because they got their shadow stolen.
Did you think it was kind of like Peter Pan when he takes his shadow off and then sews it onto someone else?
Yes, except it's a lot more violent in this book.
Okay.
Yeah, it is like Peter Pan though. So this book centers on a girl who's like our age, and she is like a thief, like a bartender, and she specializes in stealing like magical items. And she gets caught up in this magical shadow world and has to like steal things and work with all the people who have magic. And it just turns into this like huge ordeal. And I don't know how better to summarize it other than they all are just like caught up together and like trying to not kill each other or trying to kill each other in some instances.
She does kind of stumble into a bad situation to where like she can't necessarily leave without doing something.
Yes. And like her boyfriend doesn't have a shadow. And then her sister really wants a quickening shadow. And so she like researches all the time on how to like make your shadow like turn magical. And meanwhile, she's like stealing these things. The main girl is like stealing items and trying to like not get on their bad side and like get out of this, like Madeline said, dangerous situation she kind of just stumbled into. But I liked it because it's a very unique storyline. This is not like, oh my God, the humble orphan turns out to be the most powerful being in 500 years and is going to defeat the evil emperor. Like, it's not that. So I liked it.
What did you rate it?
I rated it an A-.
I rated it a B+. Primarily because I didn't like get hooked on, I liked it, but it wasn't like a page turner for me. I feel like you could put it down. You want to know what happened, but it wasn't like that level of like, I'm gonna fly through this book. But it was still
You're
good.
right. It wasn't a like nonstop type book. I will say Holly Black's writing has gotten much better since Cruel Prince.
I completely agree with that. My other criticism for this book, and I don't know what this says about me based on what I just reviewed, but I feel like the spice level in this needed to be turned up. Like it was like, and it's odd because it's an adult book because the main girl is like 30, but it was very, I would say, PG in writing, like in like PG rating.
It like implied sex happened. That was the most.
Yeah.
But also, Andrea, after you read it, we need to do a spoiler version because I have some serious moral questions about some of the last spicy scenes in that book. It just
does it even count?
I don't know. I'm confused by it. I actually talked to my husband about it.
What was his vote? Was it real?
Yeah. So he was like, well, he had some clarifying questions, which we can talk about in the spoilers. And then he was like, oh, then yeah, like, I think that's real.
I will say this one has good twists. It's a good story and it's well written from start to end. And it tees up a sequel really nicely. It's a good book. It's just, I would say, not completely binge worthy.
I agree. But I also totally guessed the spoiler or the twist.
I didn't.
You're
Well,
dumb.
when did you guess it? Do you mean like
Um,
near the end you guessed it, or do you mean like in the beginning of the book?
I started having inklings in the middle where they met her boyfriend's family.
Hmm.
Because some of the stuff they said, I was like, okay, well.
Maybe I read too fast. Maybe I need to pay attention to detail.
Anna's like just trying to get to the spice.
Yeah.
And I was like, where is it?
I know it's in here somewhere. No, I just don't like the feeling of feeling like I'm reading a teenage book. And I feel like that helps me justify like, okay, I'm an adult reading fantasy. You know? But
I know.
Andrea, you must read it and then we'll come back and we'll do a spoiler version.
Okay.
See if you guess the twist.
I feel like that's not fair now because we told her there was a twist.
I still probably won't get it. I never get them.
Okay, good. We're both done.
I feel like Courtney and I always get them, but I also don't know if it's because Courtney reads spoilers online.
But
Yeah.
Liz, you read a spoiler for the book we're reading.
For this one that we're reading now, yeah, I accidentally read the spoiler and I know what happens. So.
You should not. You cheated. She didn't tell me. I don't know what it is, but she told me she read a spoiler.